Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I wasn't planning on doing another reading today because honestly I've been bothered about Capricorn's reading because they got a telling off there and I felt guilty ever since. But yeah, some stuff came through overnight. I kind of woke up at about, oh, what's it called, like 5 o'clock in the morning maybe, with Taylor Swift's one of Taylor Swift's songs in my head. Which one was it now? Romeo and Juliet, that one. Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. That one. I really like it. I can't be bothered singing it right now. I wasn't planning on doing a reading, so I'm grumpy about it. Yeah, that Romeo and Juliet song by Taylor Swift kind of like woke me up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't get back to sleep. And then I was kind of just falling asleep, and this overwhelming sensation of kind of tiredness and dizziness and sickness came over me. And it felt like, I knew it wasn't my energy because there's no reason why I should feel that way. But it felt like, do you know when you drink too much and the room starts spinning? That kind of energy, like the room starts spinning and you're trying to get to sleep but the room's spinning. And then I asked for clarifiers and I got Bellyache by Billie Eilish. And then let me just pull up my I took a photo of the song Stay by JC Stewart, and it says something about his stomach being empty. So I feel like it's like either somebody started to panic because he says, I'm freaking out, but I'm not freaking out. So it's like something about like either an anxiety attack or panic attack, or, you know, like going out and getting drunk and getting sick. So I don't know what that is, but it came through really strongly. And then I got again, I don't know if somebody's been going out, maybe like drinking too much, because I got that N.E.R.D song. Yeah, you can get this lap dance here for free, which is about the government, the government being like strippers, basically, like the government being sellouts. But yeah, maybe somebody's been to a strip club, drank too much, keeled over. It could also be something to do with pride, because as I was falling asleep last night, I was seeing lots of really colourful things. So I don't know what the first thing was. I couldn't really identify it, but it was like lots of small different coloured things, a bit like Smarties, but it looked like little teddies or something. I don't know. And then I saw Care Bears. I saw Care Bears a couple of times, particularly like the big pink one with the rainbow on it. And then I saw so sorry, excuse me. It was like a yoga studio or like an aerobic studio, and it had maybe about 6 or 7 guys in there in all different coloured outfits. So they were wearing like a vest and shorts. And each one had like, it was like color blocks. So there was like an orange one, a purple one, like the top and the bottom matched, and then like thick sports socks and like big white trainers. It kind of looked a bit 80s to me. I swear I saw a headband and a mustache, but I could be wrong. So yeah, it could be something about pride. Maybe somebody's been out to a pride celebration. I know that they happen at different times around different places. Drank too much, went to a strip club, regrets. I don't know. Let's see. Or not regrets, I don't know. You could have had a really good time. But again, there's that sense of like panic with it. What do we have, please? What is this? What are you waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning for with all this random stuff? What do you want to say? What is the message that needs to be communicated, please? The village and a gape. Oh, like that thing about the ring again. I keep getting this thing about like somebody having to like go and get a ring from the vault or the safe. I don't know. Right, okay. Where is the book for this? That is the animal spirit guide book. There it is. So, a gape. Oh, sorry if that woke. Did that wake you up? Are you like trying to sleep the hangover and I just banged you awake? Banged you awake, I don't know. What did you wake up to? Anything that I say in a reading is part of the reading. So if I'm making mistakes, there's probably a reason for it. If I trip over my words a lot of the time, my mouth and my brain are not connected. But it's like whenever that happens, it tends to mean something. Like there's something, it's almost like spirits talking through me and making me say something because it's going to mean something to somebody else, right? Like sometimes I don't even realize I'm saying the wrong thing. Agape, devotion, unconditional love. Oh my goodness, yes. What was I channeling? So it's reminded me of channeling something else. Again, it's like, you know, when you're kind of half asleep and you get all these random thoughts. So something about unconditional love. It was like, I don't know if it could have come out like in Pisces' reading or after Pisces' reading. It's like conditional love, like, oh, it was about God, right? If you think about the concept of God, oh my God, it was, oh my God. In this, like, it was like a dream sequence or a vision or something, but I was awake. I was kind of in that in-between stage. And I went into a church and I found the priest and I said, right, you know the Bible, you know the Old Testament, the New Testament, you know, this and that. Is their love conditional or unconditional? Because I've always had this concept that God's love is unconditional, right? Which unconditional love is love without conditions. So God loves you no matter what, right? Whether you do the right thing or the wrong thing, you know, there's always a place for you in heaven because God sees you for who you truly are and loves you, like, you know, he sees your struggle and loves you for who you truly are, right? That concept of unconditional, sublime love, or like Mother Mary love as well. But if it's conditional love, if it's like, you can only come to heaven if you only pray to me, if you do this, if you follow this rule, if you do that rule, it's almost coming through like parenting as well, like the concept of like what kind of parenting. So I don't know if this has been some kind of like possible ultimatum moment for somebody where, especially because of the LGBTQ stuff, it's like maybe somebody's been raised in a certain belief system and like it's all boiled down to this question: is God's love conditional or unconditional? It's like that's the answer that I need here. Okay, so agape. Devotion, unconditional love. What, instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How would this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks for nothing in return. This card can indicate, so asks for nothing in return, right? This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and serve. You sense the earthly as the heavenly and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form, and like a healing balm to the modern soul, its effects last a lifetime. The agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? What does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? When light, service, reverence, honor, and joy. When dark, spiritual bypassing, righteousness. Go deeper, children's choirs from around the world. The Greek word agape, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I studied classics, but still, I can't pronounce anything. They're telling me for toffee, so I don't know, toffee could be something for somebody. The Greek word agape informs the English word agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck by something or breathtaking delight. We are made humble once again. So maybe it's like somebody's experienced something that's like really took the breath away. I'm getting that song, Take My Breath Away. You know, and it's like in that moment, it's like, I don't know, like feeling divine presence and then panicking about it. Agape can also be felt as an overwhelming love of the family, partner, community. Recognize it by a deep swelling of gratitude. So maybe somebody's had an experience that's really kind of awoken them or really touched on their concept of unconditional love, right? I'm hearing love without limits. So this is my thing. This is my thing about, again, we all have different belief systems. So, you know, whatever you want to believe is absolutely up to you. But I'm entitled under human rights laws, right, to have freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and all those kinds of things. It's a human right. So I am not trying to take away anyone else's credibility or challenge any other religion, but my personal belief is God's love, like whatever God is, right, the creator, the higher power, the universe, whatever that energy is, that presence is, that so many people feel in some form, it's when I tap into it through meditation, or, you know, when I feel what so many people call God inside me, when I touch on my soul and things like that, it feels like unconditional love. It feels just like warm wings being wrapped around you, like, and feeling completely safe and completely loved. And I think that's what God should feel like. And so to me, if God is unconditional, there can be no hell because God forgives. You know, so it doesn't, the two concepts don't correlate for me. And it could be a very Saturn type of like godly father figure where it's like, I am going to allow you to have your own experiences. I am going to allow you to make your own choices. I'm going to allow you to try and fail. I'm going to allow you to do something the wrong way, even though I can see you doing it the wrong way. And maybe I'm going to give you a piece of advice, but it's up to you to follow it or not. And if you fail, I'm going to be here to wipe your tears, you know, fix you by Coldplay, that kind of energy. It's like, you know, and I'll pick you up and I'll dust you off and I'll send you out to try again, right? It doesn't mean I have to mollycoddle you. It doesn't mean I have to fight your battles for you. It doesn't mean I have to fix all your problems, but I can say, pick you up, dust you off, give you a hug and say, okay, go and try again, try something different. What have you tried doing this, right? So that to me is that kind of unconditional love where it's like, I love you no matter what. But, you know, maybe I'm going to give you a bit of guidance of how to do something better. I don't know. So it really, what was interesting to me as well is like, this is the way I've always felt. And I watch Shane Dawson's podcast. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify. And his latest podcast where he's talking with his friends. I think there's 4 guys on that podcast and 3 of them are gay. And then he's got his brother who isn't. And they all were discussing their different relationship, just because I have seen all the rainbows, right? And then like it's like God's here. So they were all discussing their own experiences with religion and the relationship to God or a higher power and their own thoughts and beliefs around that. And again, very respectful discussion. Everybody has different ideas, but I remember at some points they were talking in a very similar way to me. Like Shane, I think, has a very close relationship with his version of God. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's always good to be open to different opinions and different ideas, and, you know, to just listen to the different ways that people experience divinity or spirituality or higher powers or whatever you want to call it. As long as you're open to the idea that not everybody has to have the same belief as you, right? It's a personal thing. The village, the hometown, the family, the tribe. So again, this could be about where you come from, right? Your family, your village, like the place you grew up. Do they love you unconditionally? Do they give you that unconditional support? And the brilliant thing about this village card is it talks about, and I'll read the description, but it talks about that idea of like, if you have a secure base, if you have a loving home and supportive parents and friends who really want to see you succeed, then you can fly the nest, right? And you can go out on adventures and you can experience life knowing that you've got that like safe nest to fall back on. And this again could be talking about spiritual relief. If you believe that God loves you, you can stretch your wings further. You can go out and experience more things, knowing that the universe is going to catch you if you fall. So let me read the village. And of course, this doesn't have to be positive. If your experience is that I didn't have unconditional love, I am searching for it because I don't have it in the place that I grew up, then that's, you know, that is also a legitimate way of reading these cards. It's just the topic that's up for discussion. So the hometown, the family, the tribe. The village presents us with a conundrum. On one hand, it's the place that feels most like home, the place to which you can always return. Nostalgia and comfort draw us back. On the other hand, it's the very place you must leave in order to grow. Around the village, an unspoken boundary exists, one most villagers do not want you to cross. Somebody else had a reading like this. I can't think who it was. Again, I tend to watch Santaro, N.E.R.D Tarot and Awakening to Spirit quite a lot at the moment, so it could have been in one of their readings, but they said something very, very similar. Like one of the readings, they had this thing about like the gatekeeper who doesn't want you to leave. Around the village, an unspoken boundary exists, as one most villagers do not want you to cross. Though some support your leaving, you can still hear whispers of doubt as you venture beyond its borders, leaving them behind, right? A lot of the time that's just jealousy, right? The energy of the village is present anytime we feel restricted by a certain group, community, family, place, or ideology. So again, somebody could be being raised in a certain environment, a certain scripture that is suppressing their connection to the divine, perhaps through their own experiences and through their own choices. It may have served us in the past, and yet staying within its parameters will never satiate our thirst for life. Thank the village for all it has provided, knowing you will someday return. For now the world awaits. Again, like one of the other readers this week, I find so many parallels in the readings, it's crazy. They were talking about somebody, I think it could have been Aquarius, it could have been Santaro or Awakening to Spirit, their Aquarius reading, or it could have been N.E.R.D, I don't know. One of the readings, I watched so many, because I find it fascinating when we're all talking about the same thing. So they were saying something about, so that siren's distracting me, somebody who had some kind of interpreter, they had some kind of middleman when it came to their connection to the divine, right? So it could be me as a tarot card reader, right? Like channeling the messages and putting them on the internet for you to mull over and decide what is and isn't for you. Where this was like, this person, they'd reached such a high vibrational energy. I think it was MN Tarot. I think it was MN Tarot in their Aquarius reading, thinking about it now, that they no longer needed the middleman, right? So they no longer needed the priest, the priestess, the spiritual teacher, the guru, the healer. It's like they had forged their own connection that they could rely on. And it was a strong connection. So like they were, and it wasn't necessarily that there was something bad about the other connection, you know, about having that guidance, but it's like they no longer needed it, right? They'd outgrown it. When light, intimate, rooted, intergenerational and communal. When dark, small-minded, gossipy, trapped and restricted. I mean, that says when dark, right? And if you think about certain communities and how they can get very cliquey, right, and very judgy, that to me is the devil working through people who are purporting to be preaching God's word, right? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like with any group, with any system, you get good people and bad people. And I'm not saying any particular religion is good or bad. I think there's a lot of benefit to a lot of religions. However, sometimes you get people within those groups who think that they're right and are very closed and very controlling. And to me, that is absolutely like, if there were, I don't believe in like the devil, but if there was like the devil's work, it would work through people like that, right? So because they're closed, because the love isn't unconditional, so therefore it's not God. So it's easy. It's like so simple. When you connect to that energy, when you understand what that energy feels like and what it doesn't feel like, when you know what that is and what it's not, it's so easy, so easy. Like to trust that inner guidance, right? Go deeper. Haruki Murakami's Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. Returning to the village is as important as leaving it. This can be thought of as a completion or an integration of what you learned out in the wild. The village moves with you as more of a mindset than a physical place. Obviously, the place that you grow up in, it conditions you, right? Even if you don't feel like you fit in, within whatever environment you grow up in that limited time span that you experienced, you know, that you've lived, you've only been open to so many ideas and perspectives and belief systems. Like there's a whole world out there, and the more you grow and the more you learn and the more you experience the world, the more you realize you actually don't know. So if you think you know everything, you probably live in a tiny little box and haven't had a lot of experience of different places, people and things. Like the more open you are, the more experience you have, the more you realize like there's a whole world, a whole universe out there of different thoughts and opinions and beliefs. So don't let anyone put you in the box. Don't let baby put you in the corner. I'm getting a lot of Dirty Dancing as well. I was getting one of the Time of My Life. I've had the time of my life. That came through yesterday. Let's get Animal Spirit. So what energies are we dealing with? Who are the players in this game? Like what are we talking about here? What's going on? Lion. That's who I want you to be. The mighty lion who is like strong, then sure of themselves, noble, bold, fierce, prideful, like a good leader for other people, right? A good example for others to follow. They're giving me cool runnings. I don't kind of want to do the impression because I love the scene so much and I love doing the impression, but it's not appropriate. So it's a scene in Cool Runnings where he's looking in the mirror and he's his friend's giving him a pep talk and he's saying, repeat after me, I've got pride, I've got power, I'm a badass mother who don't take notes from anyone. And it's that's, and again we could be talking about pride as in LGBTQ. I've got pride, I've got power, and I don't take any shit off anyone, you know? That's what I want you to be in. Not the rabbit. Libra had the rabbit. This is Cappy, don't know. That's Libra in high vibrational energy. This is Virgo for me. Take it as it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I know that the elements don't necessarily match the energy, but don't worry too much about that because this is like, I think this is fire. No, this is air. This is water, this is earth, this is earth, this is earth. But it's more because I start to associate different energy with different signs, like obviously Leo. But it doesn't have to be a particular sign either. It's just the way my guides talk to me through symbolism has come up in certain readings. So I associate certain cards with certain energies. The earthworm, going to ground, keeping your head down, holding something inside. And what you're holding inside, I want to say with the colours, it's like something that makes you really, really happy and playful. It's like who you truly are. So if you think about like, if there were no rules, what would you be doing? Who would you be hanging out with? Who makes you happy? Who makes you smile? Who, at the end of the night, do you think that was such a great time? I feel so good about myself. Who makes you feel that way? Because the dolphin card to me talks about like the 10 of cups or the 2 of cups. It's like the people around you that you have a really good time with, and like not only that, but finding the happiness from within, like really knowing who you are and what feels good and right to you in a high vibrational sense, not in a way that, the lion again, it's like not in a way that stomps on other people, but in a way that's like going with the flow. This feels right, this feels good, I want more of this in my life. And then the earthworm is a card about anxiety for me, and like because it talks to me about like your stomach tying up in knots. It's really interesting that the song Bellyache came through and that other song was talking about like throwing up. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know if it's a sense of like you know, your crush walks in the room, or you're spending time with somebody that you really care about, but then it's like the fear kicks in and it's like your stomach kind of goes, oh, like, you know, like, I don't know. But then because the earthworm, which is this tied up in knots energy, almost transforms through these powerful connections, these positive connections, into something that is more, can you see, because it's like a worm turning into a snake. Somebody had that in one of the readings. I saw, it could have been Leo actually. I saw like a worm and a snake and a cucumber, and it came through with this whole thing about like cats and cucumbers. But it's like the worm, like they're telling me the worm that turns. I don't really understand. Maybe as well it could be like, don't some drinks have a worm in it? They kind of take you on a bit of a trip. Just obviously be careful what you're doing. No wonder you got sick. Silly beans. So it's like, you know, like Moulin Rouge, right? They're showing me Moulin Rouge, like Kylie Minogue, the little fairy. Absinthe, thank you. I got there in the end. So it's like it unknots something. It could be talking about somebody who has some kind of I want to say legal, excuse me a second. It was my son. He's laughing at some videos. This guy who, I don't know the name of the channel, but he creates like a lot of different projects for his cats. I think one of his cats is called Bella. I don't know, it's like a black cat and then like a kind of grey cat. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's very cute. So he was just giggling at those videos and telling me all about it. So yeah, I don't know if some of you have had some, I'm going to say legal, some kind of legal like psychedelic experience, possibly. Not all of you, but it's like something that you can watch a lot of these videos as well, like Black Swan energy there. You can watch a lot of these videos. There's a series on Netflix at the moment, and there's a lot of people who are like rethinking psychedelics, right? Like mushrooms and all that kind of thing. And actually studying, because for a while it was like illegal and really, really like frowned upon. So people couldn't study it. But now I think, you know, people are getting more interested in the the benefits, because every single drug, right, every single medicine is just some kind of plant or some kind of chemical version of something we found in nature. So why would we say that some things are legal and some things aren't? There's some drugs that are like really harsh, some drugs that are like really bad for your body. If you ever read the side effects on like even like paracetamol or something mild, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Like I had this conversation with a doctor, with my GP once, because I was a bit worried about taking something, and he was like, it's like being a doctor is like having a set of scales. Like you've got the symptoms, right? You've got an illness that we're trying to cure or like make more comfortable in some sort of way. So everything that we're going to give you is going to have side effects, but we have to get the balance right of like making the illness better and not giving you something that's going to make it worse or give you something else that's worse. So it's like very trial and error. So why wouldn't we do trial and error on things that like psychedelics? So there's a series on Netflix at the moment. I think it's like a 4-part series. It's on my watch list. I've not watched it yet, about like how the mind works. And they have a whole video on like the study of different things that you can have and the effect that it has on the brain. And a lot of the times the studies that are looking into it now legally again, they're finding like really huge benefits in terms of raising mental health, like improving mental health, dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome, helping with anxiety and things like this. It's like, why was this banned? Why weren't we doing these tests like the whole time? And again, different things work for different people. So I think somebody had like hypno-regression in one of the readings that they were doing, again, guided with a clinical practitioner who is a legal and above board. Like they were having one of these like guided regression things where they were going back to some past trauma in a way that they were given something that made them feel really safe, right? And able to access those old suppressed memories that they'd kind of buried or were inaccessible when they were in the normal state of anxiety. So it's just interesting. And then it's almost like, so the earthworm to the snake, it's looking to me like when people rewire the brain, right? It's like, instead of like that happiness getting stuck and like almost trying to suppress your own happiness or not let it show or not letting it be revealed, it's like allowing it to, it's like being right in it. It's like going almost into the self, into those colourful parts of your soul or memories that want to be expressed, and kind of like experiencing them in a very free-flowing way, which is like reconditioning the brain. It's like, because your brain has wires, this is looking to me like brain wires now, like your brain is wired by your expectations of what's going to happen based on the expectations of things that have happened in the past, or bad, you can have like bad methods of thinking, and you can actually see this. You can do like brain scans and see how a brain behaves, how the electricity moves around the brain. Literally it's like your brain is wired to operate a certain way through the conditioning of how we were raised. And if we rewire the brain through obviously legal guided expert help, we can create something that is much more organized and systematic and contained in a way that it feels healthy and high vibrational, rather than kind of all tangled up and knotted. Because the snake talks about Kundalini energy, right? It's all your chakras being in alignment and being perfectly like zen and meditative and at one with yourself through doing some kind of inner work. And like, again, it feels like guided regression in some sort of way. And then the peacock is like, the peacock's a really showy energy. The peacock's like, I'm doing really well and I want to show everybody that I'm doing well. But again, there's this anxiety like right behind it. It's almost like a surface level. The peacock normally represents kind of like that Capricorn energy of like the Queen of Pentacles or the Nine of Pentacles. It's like somebody who is actually really good at looking after themselves, really good at self-care. Why is this sounding just like one of the other readings I watched? It's like, I swear it's MN Tarot. Maybe it's subconscious, but I really feel like because the cards are here on the table, right? You saw them come out. It's like it's the same bloody message. And I get it in reverse as well. So I'll get a message and then I'll see everybody else, like all the other readers talking about it. Like Nicholas Ashbauer and the Libra Diamonds, right? So yeah, this energy of self-care. They're giving me self-preservation, society. So it's like knowing how to look after yourself now. Knowing how to look after yourself, get into a state of balance, and then being really proud of it. And yet that anxiety is still there. So this card, the rabbit, talks about what you think about, you bring about. So just be careful. It can talk about like being a bit too sexy, like banging away a little bit too much, because rabbits have lots of babies. But it is an energy as well. Like the rabbit represents Empress energy too. So it can be a symbol of growth, right? Rapid growth, because when you get to a high vibrational state, it's like you can do anything. Like you're not scared of leaving the village anymore. They're telling me it's a bit of a tacky joke. It's like, it was a very, very famous quote from a TV series. I think it was from Little Britain in the UK. And the line is, "I'm the only gay in the village." Now you can go and look that up if you want to see some clips. It's a comedy show. It's a little bit on the nose, but that's what they're giving me, right? I'm the only gay in the village. If you're the only gay in the village, you know, and it's a very religious, old-fashioned community, there's going to be some stuff that you need to work through with that, is what I'm saying. It depends on how open that community is, how supportive they are, how much they unconditionally love you, is what I'm saying. So it could be indicating Wales as well, in some sort of way. What's the earthworm? And oh wait, there's something in Pisces' reading. Bless Pisces, I love them so much. Something in Pisces' reading. It came through a bit in Capricorn's reading as well, about this mask wearing and trying to please others. Again, why they got the kind of telling off is like, have you not learnt, have you not learnt yet that you have to be authentic, was the way it was coming through. So it's like, in Pisces' reading, it's coming through this energy of like, sometimes we lie to ourselves. Sometimes we convince ourselves that we are what other people want us to be, right? So if we're raised in certain culture and we've only had certain experiences, and we've only been subjected to certain opinions, often the times, because of the way humans work, right? Because humans want to be part of the group. This is a very, very base instinct, right? It's like, if you think about caveman times, we wouldn't want to be kicked out of the village or kicked out of the tribe because we had a difference of opinion, because then we'd be super vulnerable, right? We'd have to like find our own food. We'd have to, have to deal with like dangers by ourselves. What if we got hurt? So the idea of being part of a network, being part of a group, being part of a village, right? A family, a support system, a religion. A lot of the time people will start to mimic the most popular view of that village, right? Or that most popular view of the tribe. It's like almost like cult-like behavior, and that's how cults operate as well. In like, obviously the reverse of it can be positive, it can be bad. Positive in terms of like finding a group that you feel comfortable with, finding people who are like-minded, feeling like you're accepted. But in the reverse, it's more like that kind of cultish behavior of like, this is the party line, this is what you think, and it's like, you can't challenge that, right? Because you'll get kicked out of the group. So that kind of thing about you can find it, like they've done tests as well, like they've done scientific psychological tests where they've had a group of people in a room, and they're like, right, you can't push, this is the right way to operate this machine, this is the wrong way to operate the machine, and if one person in that group was like, but I want to operate it the wrong way, this makes more sense to me, the majority of the group would be like, that's not the way to do it. But what they start to do is they start to introduce more people into the group, so that the opinion was weighted more onto the other side. More people started to say, I agree, we should do it the wrong way. And what they saw happen was the people in the minority started to agree with the majority. So people, even not consciously, even subconsciously, if there's a majority view, people start to, because of that innate need to belong to a group, they start to agree with the majority view, right? They even think they agree with it because they're not doing the self-analysis, right? It's like sheep behavior. So it's funny you have the black swan, now it's like black sheep, right? So the people who go, well, actually, no, this is my opinion and I'm sticking with it, came out in Capricorn's reading really strongly. This Queen of Swords energy of like, or Knight of Swords energy of like, this is my opinion, I'm coming in like a tidal wave. When you find that kind of authority, when you find that kind of confidence to disagree with the group, you can actually go out and find your own group, right? Because there's a strength in being authentic. There's a strength in being sure of yourself that comes from a deep inner truth that is not being you're not being pressured to conform, or you're not allowing yourself to be pressured to conform. If you think something's right, you're going to say that's what you think is right. And this is how innovation and change happens. This is another thing about like Aquarius energies. If you didn't have the people who broke the mold, if you didn't have the people who thought differently, there would never be any innovation. There would never be any progression of society. There would never be any changes in the world, because everybody would be like robots, right? They would just be born, they'd step into that box, into that system, they'd repeat the same patterns of behavior that everybody else repeated, and then they'd die, right? And their kids would do the same thing. It'd be like, you'd be no better than a robot. And robots are great, right? But not a huge amount of innovation. So it's the humans, right, that innovate the robots, right? So yeah, out of the box thinking, creative thinking, independent thought is hugely beneficial. And you can look at it in terms of, well, of like society. You know how there's these awful channels that are popping up on like TikTok and YouTube where it's like, this is how this person should correct their nose. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that person's nose. In 10 years time, they might have the most desirable nose, because the idea of like perfect changes. You know, a new actress comes on the scene who's very charming, and suddenly everybody wants their nose, right? Suddenly everyone wants their lips. Like if you look at the standards of beauty, if you look at like Marilyn Monroe's figure, for example, you know, the standard of beauty, what has been idealized, like Botticelli, you know, the idea of like the perfect woman, the perfect body changes. We're not always going to want slim thick, you know. Sometimes we want a Kate Moss style waif-like figure. So if you're constantly trying to be what society demands is the right way to be, there's no variation. It's like you might as well just have a world full of Barbie dolls, right? And we're not even talking about Barbie and a Midge and like, you know, all the Skipper. They're all Barbie. They're all just blonde, right? And maybe some of you are like, yeah, I'd love that. Maybe you're into that. I don't know. But it's like everyone looks the same. Everybody thinks the same. How fucking boring would that world be? Might as well be replaced by robots at that point. Like, and who would want that? Who would want that? The people at the top would want that, right? The people who are like, oh yeah, I could get those robots to do my bidding and make a lot of money from it, while I continue to live my human life. You know, it's who benefits from enforcing a standardized opinion on people. Earthworm. Yeah. Six of Swords. Moving on from it. Like, look at the rainbow as well. Like, I love that I use these decks and they're so full of rainbows. I didn't do that intentionally. It's just happy little accidents. So this knotted up feeling of the past, of the, and it could be that the place where you grew up, you know, your mother, your family, this is where you got unconditional love from, and you've left that and you miss it, and you're returning like Odysseus with his nostalgia, right? His nostos, his journey home. You could be returning like Odysseus to the place that gave you that unconditional love and support from birth. Or for others of you, you didn't have that and you've gone out to find it elsewhere. But there is travel, there is journey. This talks about a boat ride. Pisces get something about a boat in their reading, so watch out for that. You know, a journey across water, right? A journey to find your rainbow. But it comes with a sense of anxiety. But the swords represent the anxiety, right? The dark thoughts, the depression, the thing that's been eating you up on the inside. Moving on from that, moving on beautifully from that. The dolphin card, why is the dolphin here, please? The Fool, yeah, taking a leap of faith. Oh my God, taking a leap of faith towards your hopes and dreams and wishes, towards your star, towards your destiny. A sense of purpose, a sense, the Fool carries this energy of like being divinely guided, right? Putting your faith in the universe, understanding that if you fall, God will catch you. If nobody else does, God will catch you. And having that sense of faith. So the Fool is a beautiful card with this real happy-go-lucky nature, Aries energy, Aquarius energy, absolutely like following your dreams with no emotional baggage, like a baby in the world again, right? Like a baby, well, ready and willing to learn and having new experiences. That's really gorgeous. I'm just gonna put it like that, I think. Really, really nice energy. So what's the snake? And then it leads you to this beautiful like Kundalini awakening. Like the snake represents Kundalini energy coiled at the base of the spine. So it's an energy of like potential. Like you have the potential here to really become a masterful person, somebody who's in control of your own fate. Tell me about the snake. Oh yeah, look at the imagery. It's like the village that must be left behind. So you're definitely moving on from something. There's something that wasn't right for you. You're moving forward, you're moving on, you're moving to something better because there's a sense of something missing. The Eight of Cups is a card of longing. It's like, okay, I've got 8 cups, but where's the 9th cup? Where's that real emotional fulfillment? So there's a sense of needing to travel, to adventure, to have that fool's journey, right, of the fool, to go and find what's missing. And sometimes we return and sometimes we don't. The imagery of this card, however, each card will tell me something different. So the imagery of this card, all the glasses are smashed. It's like there's nothing left for me here anymore. Right, there's nothing redeemable, there's nothing left to save. I have to leave this place, is the way that card is coming through. Daughter of Wands, again, oh my God, it's so divinely guided, it's beautiful. So the Daughter of Wands, it's a very young energy. It's the Page of Wands. So it's somebody who's ready to experiment, who's ready to go on the adventures, right? It's like the kid who's packing the bag excitedly because they know they're going to go on a trip and they know they're going to have new experiences, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much out there. And what they're going out to there to find, you know, is that 9th cup, and the 9th cup is the Ace of Cups. It's the thing that was missing. And what does the Ace of Cups represent but unconditional love? Excuse me. So yeah, so leaving on an adventure to go and find the Ace of Cups, which does represent unconditional love. George is in the background, by the way, if you can hear the pottering. That's the interruption. You are the interruption.
I know.
But I love her anyway. So yeah, so that's what you're off to find. You're off to find that sense of connection to, it's like you don't need anyone else. When you have the Ace of Cups energy within, right, the Two of Cups is having this and sharing it with somebody else. The Ace of Cups for you is an opportunity to reconnect to something that is emotionally fulfilling, to have that sense of unconditional love for the self. Right? And you can't give it to anyone else if you don't know what it feels like. You have to find it. You have to have that feeling. You have to know what unconditional love is before you can give it to someone else. So you have to feel it. You have to experience it. You have to find it. And a lot of the time we don't really know what love is until you actually connect to that energy and really, really feel it. And then you know it, and you can, like, love comes in so many different forms, but most of the time there are conditions attached, and that doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, right? This is the highest form of love, but love comes in so many different shapes and forms, and all of them are incredible, right? And they'll teach us something, but that pure love, that divine love, which is within us all, right? It's there waiting to be tapped into. So this could be going on an inward journey, right, through meditation, talking about Kundalini yoga or something. But it does, when you find it, it breaks you wide open in a good way. So what's the peacock? The world. Yeah, completion, really learning the lessons, really coming into your own, really finding, finding your feathers is what I'm hearing. So what they're showing me is like how, you can turn a peacock feather and it'll kind of shimmer. So it's like, how do you shimmer? Finding your shimmer, it's like finding your mojo or something. It's like finding some kind of confidence to really display everything that you are, to be on show, to not be afraid of rejection, because you have that kind of confidence that comes from like being very self-assured because you are connected into something higher. Really learning lessons. You could also be traveling. Again, you've got 2 cards now about traveling. This is traveling the world. Maybe you're ready to do that. Maybe part of this journey is traveling the world and experiencing different cultures and like different different cultures, different traditions, different opinions, and being open to hearing the stories of people and what they believe and why they believe it and how they believe it. I studied humanities, so that's very much my MO. What's the rabbit? High priestess. You'll overcome your fears. Your lovers, gorgeous. You'll overcome your fears. So it's only natural to, when you're on the verge of this major breakthrough, right, this liberation where you can be anything you want to be, right, you're completely free because you've broken. It's like the realization that something was missing, feeling the thing that was missing, and then being like, I want more of that, I want more of that, right, I don't want any more of this, whatever this bad situation was. And then just, it's like the Lovers card is beautiful. I was talking about the Two of Cups. The Lovers card is like so high vibrational, and it's like birds of a feather. You know how I was saying about like the thing about like the feathers shimmering. It's like finding somebody who shimmers in the same way as you, finding somebody who you can share that cup of love with, who also has the same cup of love, and it's like overflowing, right? It's like they're not gonna give anything that they're not gonna take anything from you that they can't give back, because like they can fill up their own cup, they can give to themselves, so it's like they've got enough for you and them, and vice versa. So it's not codependent or needy or anything like that. Could be a bit of a delay with whatever this is. Again, it could be like something that you're finding. So because this another situation has to end, something needs to be, because you have to break free of the old, right, before you can experience the new. You have to really wrap something up. And then like the rabbit and the high priestess, this is like, again, it could just be like woohoo, like, you know, the Lovers card, the rabbit, I don't know. So again, it can be Empress energy, but it does carry a little bit of like fear, like a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of nervousness. And again, it's really, really normal to be nervous when you're on the verge of doing something new. I had to do a eulogy the other week. I'd never done a eulogy before, and I was really shaky. But the way I got through it was I used my high priestess mode, my high priestess toolbox to meditate, to do some deep breathing, to release, you know, through breathing, if you do like yoga or meditation, they teach you about breathing techniques. So breathing away the anxiety and filling myself up with the love in the room. I got up there and I did it, and I was shaking and I was nervous, but I did it. And because I had faith, right, because I trusted that I could. And so that is very much what this is saying to me. The high priestess is like, you don't have anything to fear, because the high priestess has such high intuition that if something feels wrong, if you feel nervous, that's your psychic warning system, right? You'll naturally know what to move towards and what to move away from, because you're going to move towards the things that make you feel like this and like this and like this, and move away from the things that make you feel like this and this and this, right? It's easy, it's simple. That inner guidance system, that connection to that energy, right? Being able to to phone a friend, and that friend's like God, like, hey, what's up? Your angels, your spirit guides, your divine counselors, whatever it is, to be able to connect into that pure, unconditional, like one love energy. Like that is your guidance system, that is your compass, like, and you cannot go wrong. So I'm going to leave the reading there, because I think that is a pretty cool place to leave it. I don't know who needed to hear that, but I hope it was really, really helpful. Do take care of yourselves, trust yourselves, keep that direct line open, and keep going, because how do you feel, right? If you're doing something like this, if you're having some sort of spiritual growth, how do you feel? Do you feel good about yourself? Does this make you feel like, oh my God, I'm getting it, and my confidence is building? Like I have pride, I have power, I'm a badass mother. You know, is it making you feel like that, or is it making you feel bad about yourself and guilty? If it's making you, like, the thing with spiritual work, if it starts to make you feel bad and guilty, you lean into it, you unravel it, you say why, right? Why? What do I need to go back to? What do I need to explore here? That's called shadow work, right? And that's part of this journey. But if you compare how you feel now to how you felt, if you've been on this journey for a while, right, I don't know where you're up to, you could be here. So for those of you who've been doing like spirituality, tarot, meditation, any of this stuff for a while, and for me it's like going back, say 3 years or something now, I'm so different. Like, my core is different. How I see myself as an individual on the planet is completely different, right? It really is like that death and rebirth energy of like, this is a different version of me, right? This is the peacock version of me, where before I was perhaps the rabbit version of me. So it's I know that this is good. I know that this is God, because it's not keeping me in some kind of weird shame spiral where I'm kept small and controllable. I'm now powerful and strong, and with a strength that is shining a light, right? It's like good. It's bringing good into the world. So it's really easy. It's so easy to know, to just feel what's right and what's wrong, and just, it's like the simplest thing in the world. It's like something that we're born with, right? It's like our default setting. And yeah, the conditions and the environment and the opinions of others start to trap us and start to make us small, which, you know, it's maybe that as our journey to break free from that. I'm going. Do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.